Bobby Shoemaker, Andrew Calvano. It's Tournament Talk on the Tournament Edge, covering Santa Anita Race 6 on Monday, December 26th. Andrew, it's part of the All Stakes Pick 4 at Santa Anita opening day, the day after Christmas. It's the Grade 3 San Simeon Stakes, going 6.5 furlongs on the turf, so down the hill for 3-year-olds and up. It's a field of 14. Holy Loot, the 12-horse, Andrew, is your 9-2 morning line favorite. I guess I can't necessarily argue that this horse is the favorite, Andrew. I do find 9-2 to be value on a horse of this nature, but just too inconsistent for me to take even at the $11 price. But I will say this is the best betting race probably of the entire day in the entire country. There are a lot of horses I think you can make the case for. So give us your thoughts on Holy Loot and give us your thoughts on this field as a whole.
Without a doubt. And Holy Loot, definitely an interesting one. And, definitely coming out of some tougher races, including the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, which was down the hill a couple months back, and just facing so much tougher. But inconsistent, I think, is the word that you definitely have to value here. Bobby, and I'm glad you brought it up. Coming off a layoff, just not sure if this one could really get the job done today. And although the outside posts, to me, aren't that tricky when it comes to down-the-hill races, I think there's just a lot more to this one's inside here that he may have to beat out for positioning, and I'm a little afraid that's going to take back. And at 9-2, I think that's a real bad price to lay on here. I really think you can get value out of this race. And I listened to Matt Bernier the other day, and and like he said, and like I'll even say as well, I think that you can make a case for anybody in this race. And if you were to give me the 50-1 shot here, Iron Rob, I probably couldn't talk you off because this is such a great betting race, like you said, Bob. So that's really my thoughts there on Holy Loot. And going into the race, just some more. I'll just hit again on that point that this is such an open race that you have to go find value here. And I think you're going to have the opportunity to drift through a lot of overlays. So you're definitely going to be able to land yourself on a nice price here.
Wanted to ask you about Betty's Bambino. Now, this horse, I think, is the most interesting horse in the entire race. Had won, I believe, 4 races in a row before getting injured and hasn't raced in 674 days. But this horse was a handful before the 6-year-old gelding got hurt, Andrew. Peter Yurton continues to get better and better as a trainer, winning stakes races at this level in California. He thinks he's ready. The workouts are solid. Your thoughts on the 11 horse? Do you think that this horse is tight enough to be a major player?
Yeah, obviously, this one going down with an injury was definitely a shake of the head, for lack of a better term, because he was on such a roll, and obviously one of those horses that's good for the sport. But I think that layoff is just so tough. Bob, you're talking more almost 2 years. Just an unrealistic win opportunity for me, especially, from the Peter Urton barn, who doesn't really do too well off the layoffs. And I'm a big Peter Urton guy. And I can tell you firsthand that off the layoff is not really a strong suit. So from a playing perspective, we'll have to stay against. In a pick 4, I'm considering just hitting the all button. So this one is a good price, but on top, I think this one is definitely vulnerable coming off that layoff. But if this is the venture of where he's coming back to being the race horse he once was, watch out, because it really is a horse for the course here.
As far as what you think the bettors will do in support of Betty's Bambino, 6-1 morning line, as I mentioned. Do you see an overlay on this horse because of what you just mentioned, or are people going to bet this horse despite the layoff because his running lines before he was injured were so good?
Actually in this field, I'm pretty sure he'll stay around that 6-1 area. I don't see him, definitely don't really see him drifting up or down. So right around there, 5-1, 6-1 is where this one should be.
Wanted to ask you about Richard's Boy. This horse has been very solid this year, has not been out of the money in all starts since August 12th. In fact, 3 consecutive second-place finishes before winning a $59,000 allowance race at Del Mar on November 26th. The Miller Barn, surprise, surprise, scorching hot. Victor Espinoza aboard, winning about 15% of his races for the year. The barn's hot. This horse is going to be forwardly placed, which tends to give him an edge going down the hill. Your thoughts on the 8-horse Richard's Boy at 5-1 morning line?
Yeah, obviously, this is the venture of where he's coming back to being the race horse for the course here. And I think that layoff is just so tough. Bobby, you're talking more almost 2 years. Just Yeah, I took a long look at this one, and I think this one my second choice in the race. Almost pulled the trigger. I just thought he may get into a little bit of a pace duel. And if you watch earlier replays, so a lot of his wins as of late have definitely come from being clear on the lead. So I'm not sure how he'll adapt to early on pressure. So that's the reason I'm just going to put him in my second slot here. But I think this one is going to make some big noise today.
So give us your top selection, Andrew, and why.
So going into it here, I'm going to land on number 3, Stormy Liberal, 8-1 for Peter Miller, the other Miller, and the Border Royal. Like you said, Bob, the barn is awfully hot. This one goes second off the claim. Very strong last out of Del Mar. Mile on the 16th, finishes second behind He Will, a strong horse. Pretty sure we mentioned that race here on Tournament Talk. If I'm not mistaken here. Well, let's go back to this one's down the hill races. He is definitely a horse for the course. 2 back, October 16th. Claimed from the Doug O'Neill barn in a $40,000 claiming race. Wins with ease. Has that 3-wide path and just storms on by. And I think the pace is going to set up exactly how it did that day in a spot like this. Now, obviously, this one is going to have to handle the class, and I think this is where we get an overlay. I think the attention of Miller's horses is going to be focused more on the 8. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to land around 12-1 with this one. But this one has the tactical speed to be up right at it from the beginning, and hopefully the Border Arroyo, who has been ultra hot from his perspective, coming back this year from his offset. But I'm really thinking that this one, with the pace that we're going to see, sits that second path trip, makes one run turning for home, and sweeps him at a big price.
Andrew, certainly have respect there, and as far as class is concerned, these horses don't know what they're running for, and it certainly seems like this horse has a big shot here to round into form at the right time. And the barn, again, as we mentioned, the Miller barn is ultra hot, and certainly a lot of respect for this horse, and I do think you're going to get an overlay. I think you're looking at double-digit odds. I went with a horse, Andrew, right to the inside of yours, and that's the 2-horse Hobbit's Hero, Richard Baltus and Rafael Bejarano. Many times on Tournament Talk back in the spring meet at Santa Anita, we talked about how horses going down the hill, a lot of them were cutting back from that mile and a 16th distance, and were running really competitive races going down the hill at 6.5, because it's a very unique type of race. And a lot of horses that had been running a mile and a 16th that had shown speed at that distance were very competitive going 6.5. And what can you say about the 2-horse Hobbit's Hero from a speed standpoint? And he gets the best jockey in California coming back off the injury in Rafael Bejarano. At the end of the day, Andrew, I just think the 2-horse is versatile enough to be able to do whatever Rafael Bejarano wants the horse to do. He can go to the lead or sit right off the lead, or maybe even stalk that pace from a mid-stalk perspective, depending on how fast horses like the 8, Richard's Boy, go early. I really like this horse, Andrew, and Bejarano sees fit to get on this horse in a Grade 3 stakes race. I think he's well meant. Look at the workout December 10th, 4 furlongs in 48. November 26th was even better, 4 furlongs in 47 seconds. This horse is ready to run its best race to date, and I think the 6.5 might be exactly what Hobbit's Hero needs. And you give me a guy like Rafael Bejarano at 15-1 morning line, I'll take it all day. Not ultra confident in the selection, considering how many good horses are in this race. So you look for value in races of this nature, just like you did with the 3. And this 2-horse with these connections, Andrew, you cannot deny this horse has a chance, and these guys win races. And I could possibly get a $30 horse.
Yeah, Bob, and definitely not going to knock you off this one. $32 on a Rafael Bejarano, Richard Baltus combo here, clicking at 31% for the year at Santa Anita. I mean, that's just incredible to get $32 on that. So, definitely hats off to you, Bob. A lot of respect for your pick. And I think it just goes to show, when you're getting 15-1 on Bejarano and Baltus, I think it just goes to show really how wide open, this race is. Because in any other race, this horse could be your morning line favorite here.
No question about it. Wanted to ask you about one more horse before you'll give us your top selection one more time. He Will, Jerry Hollendorfer, Flavian Pratt, another horse cutting back. Seems like so many are cutting back. Although I don't think he's as fast as the 2, which is why I ended up going with the 2-horse. But this horse seems to be rounding into form. A lot of people like this horse, including the guys over at DRF. Your thoughts on He Will? I don't think he's good enough, but maybe he's peaking at the right time.
without a doubt. And actually, you and I both landed on this horse on the October 15th race that we discussed on Tournament Talk, and we just said that he was much the best for that field. And that field actually came out to be a hit race as two more next winners came through. Then November 12th race, he beat out my selection here, Stormy Liberal. Watching a lot of the races from that day, it seemed that, that three-wide stretch path on the turf was really where he wanted to be, and he did it from 8 lengths out. And yes, I will agree that the numbers from my perspective are increasing race by race, and it's Sherry Holland or for Flavion Pratt. I think at this price, I honestly think this one goes down near 4-1, more in that range. So I think, with the underlay, and he's going back to this distance for the first time in a while, I think it's going to be a little too much too soon. I don't know if he's going to be able. You got to think, this horse is coming from the clouds, a lot of traffic, especially down the hill. So I think at 4-1, you're just better off finding a price. But I will say that this horse is a talented one, has a future going forward.
Give us your top selection one more time.
And that's number 3, Stormy Liberal at 8-1.
And I'm on the 2, Hobbit's Hero at 15-1 morning line. So that's going to do it for Santa Anita Race 6 on Monday, December 26th. It's the Grade 3 San Simeon Stakes. That's Andrew Calvano. I'm Bobby Shoemaker. Good luck.
Good luck, guys.